Today we're going to talk about my pedal board that utilizes the split guitar and bass method of Chaosmonaut. In the previous video I discussed how my guitar uses these modified pickups and a stereo output jack to separate the bass string from the other strings on the guitar. Stereo output jack interfaces with a TRS cable as shown here, or surprisingly this cheap wireless receiver made by Donner is also a stereo receiver transmitter that is also capable of taking a TRS signal and transmitting it. Now, in order to get that into my pedal board, I have this little device here that takes the TRS, this jack here, and splits it into two TS signals. This guy is my guitar signal chain, and this goes to my bass signal chain. And so what I got now is basically two discrete sets of effects. The bass string, that 6-string flat wound, basically runs through this top row here, plus this deep freeze, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. Now, the first step in this chain is what I call the decapitator. I had Bardic Audio Devices make this for me. Essentially, this is a low-pass filter. I cannot stand treble signal in my bass, so this takes any remaining treble that might exist. Sometimes it's a little bit of bleed from the other strings. So this combined with the flat wound gives a very warm, low, deep tone and does a fantastic job of feeling like a real bass. After the decapitator, we go to this deep freeze. Deep freeze was one of my COVID projects where I basically took two EHX freeze pedals and combined them into one giant pedal. The button on the left controls one freeze that basically connects to my bass. The right button controls a freeze pedal that goes through my guitar chain, and the middle button actually allows me to trigger both freezes at the same time. This means I can hold a bass note while I play guitar over the top, hold a guitar chord while I do a bass line underneath, or I can hold both and then have an opportunity to do a bunch of really cool layering effects. Artwork was made by my kid at my request. This is actually available on our Bandcamp as merch. Essentially, you need help sourcing two freeze pedals. You send it to Bardic Audio Devices. He combines them into a single enclosure and constructs the deep freeze. So now for the rest of the signal chain. So on the bass side, we go to the decapitator, then the deep freeze, and then it goes up to the Green Rhino. What I like about the Green Rhino, it's essentially a tube screamer, but it's got this 100 hertz boost, really gives a lot of meat to the signal. Then goes into this Green Russian Big Muff, then goes to this MF Chorus, which is not so much of a chorus as it is a flanger, and this thing just sounds freaking amazing. It's kind of my signal destroyer for a lot of times what we use at the end of the set. After the MF chorus, we have our Boss Stereo bass chorus. And then we go into, so the Boss Stereo bass chorus actually allows us to split a mono signal into a stereo signal, which is really sweet because then I follow this up with the Mr. Black twin lasers. Takes a stereo input and a stereo output, and then the output of the twin lasers goes to the two bass amps. One thing that I actually did not show here is between the Big Muff and the MF chorus, we go to volume pedals. We have a volume pedal on the right that controls the guitar, volume pedal on the left that controls the bass, and this feeds into this stereo looper. The stereo looper essentially is allowing me to loop guitar and bass simultaneously, and I can control what is going into the looper with the volume pedals. So if I want to loop a bass line only, I will turn the volume down on the guitar, trigger the loop, play the bass line, loop it, and then I can turn the guitar up and then loop guitar over the top of that. I can turn the bass down and do solos, that kind of thing. Now on the guitar side, we go first into this Weeping Demon wah pedal. This honestly is the last wah pedal anyone ever needs. It's hands down the best wah on the planet. If you like the auto on, auto off function, you can set it for that, or you can disable that. You have options to do different frequency sweeps. You rock it back manually, or it'll hold position. Pretty much any feature in any wah pedal you could ever want is in this pedal. Goes into my Korg Pitch Black, which handles the drop A tunings really well, and then goes into my Warden compressor. which then feeds into the guitar side of the deep freeze before going up into the raw heart. The raw heart, if you're not aware, is an updated version of the Quantum Mystic that also includes the witch burner in front of it. The Quantum Mystic is a Ross Gray distortion with a 3-band EQ, and the witch burner is a modified tube screamer. This pedal is basically the core of my guitar sound. After the raw heart, we have a op-amp Big Muff. Bought it partly for nostalgia reasons because I was a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan, but actually this is really great for pairing with the witch burner side of the raw heart to get Conan type tones. After the Big Muff is the vanilla icing on top, vanilla Sunday pedals icing on top. This is actually a company owned here by a friend here in Boise, Idaho. This is a Rangemaster type treble boost. So I like to use this to help my guitar solos cut through the mix. Follow that up with the reverb pedal, just a cheap, shitty reverb I bought, and does the job. Then it goes to the guitar volume pedal, into the looper, and then finally into this FET. Model FET feeds into my guitar amp. I'm actually not using this a whole lot for drone stuff or for practice where I just feed it into a Cabson. We'll use this sometimes, but right now for Chaosmonaut live stuff, I'm going directly into a PV bass Mark IV for my guitar amp. And it's a really great, clean pedal platform. Running it through an 8-ohm cab, so it's pushing 220 watts. The bass amps that these are running to is an SVT CL that sits on the far right of the stage, and then an acoustic 320 that sits on the far left of the stage. This gives a large amount of space between the two amps, especially when you're using these modulation effects. Gives like a huge amount of space. It really fills a room in an amazing capacity. So, yep, there's the pedal board. It's been pretty consistently steady like this for now, for a while. I'm not really looking to add anything to it, but you never know. One thing I did not mention is this Jam Man stereo. This is what I use for feeding samples to front of house. Right now I just have one sample loaded in it, but we do lots of samples in this band, and this particular looper is the most convenient way I found to deliver those. So there we go. That's my pedal board. Next up, I'll get a demo of this running through some amps so you guys can see what this sounds like. Thank you.